how's it going? I'm back at it, man. Started doing another run, one more run to McAllen, Texas today. We're starting off from our yard here in San Antonio. This is where I usually park every day to start work. This is not where the terminal's at, but this is where the yard, the remote yard that we have that we're parking all of our trucks in right now. This is where we're having to go. So every morning, every night before I end my shifts, I drop off my trailer at the current trailer at the terminal, and then I pick up another one and I come and park it over here, and this is where I end and this is where I start my day. So the yard is this yard here. It's a really big yard, but it's a little less to be desired. It's one of those classic dirt yards, so it's very, very like bumpy, and so you can only really take the these roads at about maybe like 5 to 6 miles an hour tops, and I have to drive my personal vehicle over here, and that's also a challenge. like today was the first. There was no parking up front where I could park my car and just walk it. Typically, that's what I'll do. Is I'll take my car. I'll just park it up in the front, and then I'll ride it all the way back here. I'll just walk all the way back here. That's what I meant to say. Sorry. So, but today there was no parking up front, so I had to roll ahead and roll it all the way to the back. And I really shouldn't park my car over here in this area that we're passing up, because this area of the lot is not reserved for Ceva drivers. It's reserved for STG. So I don't want to, although my car would blend in with all these other cars, I wouldn't want to risk it, and get in trouble, or get our company in trouble for parking our cars over here. Actually, I think Midwest is the one that has this side of the lot here. So all these cars parked over here should be Midwest drivers, but I'm not really 100% sure. But yeah, this is how I start my day. Of course, I got to do it. I did my pre-trips and everything like that. Double checked everything. I typically do a pre-trip anyways when I pick up the new trailer, so I did one last night. But just in case, the drive from the terminal to this yard is less than 10 minutes. But you never know what could happen in those 10 minutes, right? So who knows? Overnight, something could go flat or something. So I just double check it in the morning anyways, just to make sure that everything's good to go. And of course, making sure everything is good to go with my truck as well, and everything's pretty good. I mean, this is a truck that has, like I said, it has 47,000 miles on it. So it's a brand new truck. I mean, it's barely a year. I think it's barely a year old, if not, just a couple of months maybe. But it hasn't been driven that much, and it's mostly because these runs are so short that it doesn't accumulate mileage like some of the other companies do that I have found in the past. Like when I was at MT, y'all remember the trucks that I would typically drive would have over 400,000 miles, if not over 500,000 miles. And I thought to myself, God, I guess that's cost saving because you don't have to move trucks in and out that often. But I mean, Jesus Christ, that's a lot of miles. But that company runs their trucks, and I can see why the mileage piles up really, really quickly at places like that, because I can see why that happens. So I've got a car coming, and he looks like he's going to be turning into the yard, but I'm going to allow him to turn first just in case he changes his mind. Okay, good, he didn't change his mind. But anyways, but here at Ceva, most of these trucks some of the trucks that I've seen have anywhere up to about 200,000 or more, but typically not more than that. I think I've seen a couple of Freightliners on the yard that have. I've seen a couple of Freightliners on the yard that probably have about maybe 400 on them, but I was one of the lucky ones, and I got assigned this truck, so I'm happy with it. It's a Volvo. It's my first time driving a Volvo. I had never driven a Volvo before, so I've been with this Volvo now for I'd say probably a little over 2 weeks now. I drove another Volvo for the first week of my gig, but that Volvo that was a sleeper cab Volvo, but they gave that to another driver that was going to be doing our Kansas City run, which is basically a 3-day OTR run. And so they went ahead and gave that person. It made more sense because they were going to need a sleeper, and I don't need a sleeper for what I do. So they went ahead and just they gave me put me in a day cab, but it was still another Volvo, so I was still pretty excited about that. I just got used to. I'd driven that Volvo for a week, and I was like, God, this is so nice. And then during that time too, when I first started with this company, we were picking up a bunch of trucks because this company. One of the reasons why they went through a big hiring frenzy is because they picked up a huge contract, picked up a huge contract, but they weren't going to have enough trucks to fit, to fit the drivers. So they had to, rent out a bunch of trucks and lease out a couple more trucks. So during those first couple of days, we were like moving trucks back and forth from the rental places, from like Penske and Ryder, and bringing them to the terminal. So that was like almost like the first 2 days of work was just doing nothing but that. And then same thing, like a couple of days later, moving a bunch of our trailers from the main location, to the yard that we just pulled out from. I was tasked with moving a couple of trailers over there. I think I moved like 3 or 4 trailers that day. But yeah, so during those times, I was able to get a little bit of experience with driving a Freightliner for the first time. And I gotta say, I'm not really a fan of the Freightliner. It's got a shaky start. Once it gets going though, it's not so bad. Like once it gets past like 5th gear, it's not so bad. But getting to 5th gear and getting out of 5th gear, man, those things have some really, really bad shaky problems, and it's kind of frightening. But so I was really happy to get put back into another Volvo. I mean, it drives almost the same as it drives about the same as a Kenworth and an International. The doodads, like the buttons and everything, are pretty much all the same for the most part. It still has differential lock. This one's got a sliding fifth wheel on it. The gear shift, though, not that you really need it, not that you really use it other than just to shift the gears when you're, when you're going into drive, neutral, reverse. It's not actually over here, like it's not actually down here by the steering wheel like most of them are. It's actually, this one is right next to you on the seat. I'll have to show you at some point. Can't show you right now, but it literally sits next to your leg, next to your right leg on the seat. It's literally a handle right there. It's like a little shifter that's right there attached to the chair, basically, like right next to you. And so it's almost like if like you had one in a car that was like, you just reach for it in there in your middle console. It's almost exactly like that. It's just right here, and then you just shift it from down there instead of up here or anything like that. Things that you might be used to doing. So it's a little different, but the functionality of it is pretty much all the same. Any truck is going to have the same kind of features and whatnot. The radio is nice on this thing. It's Volvo 12-speed engine. I'd have to, I'll go into more of the specs later on and whatnot, but it's a pretty good looking engine. I mean, the location of things are in about, you can pretty much see where things are. But I had to look up a diagram on there to find a couple of things because I was kind of curious. I'll show you under the hood here at some point what it looks like under the hood if you've never seen what a Volvo looks like under the hood. It's just a little bit of a different look than the PACCAR engines and whatnot, which you would see under a Freightliner or a Kenworth or a International that has a PACCAR, but this one does not. So it's kind of interesting, but everything else is pretty much the same. I mean, it's nothing too different. A truck's a truck for the most part. But the one thing that I do like about our trucks that I'm driving now is that these trucks looks like they're all governed at 70. So, oh my God, that's 70 on the pedal and that's 70 on cruise. So it's just 70 regardless. But man, that's so nice. Having been limited to the two companies that I drove for, CFI was capped you at 64, 65, and for 30 minutes a day at CFI you would be able to go 67. That was about it. And then once you got off that pedal, that was it. It was over. And then when I moved to MBT, of course it was, they start you off, capping you off at 64. And if you're able to prove that you can save fuel by boosting your fuel per mileage or whatever, by boosting your MPG, you can then get upgraded to get a little bit of a speed boost all the way up. I think it was to about 72 miles an hour. I think I could be wrong about that, but you had to have, in order to get that speed in your truck activated, you had to have the best MPG. You had to be averaging almost 10 miles per gallon. And I'll tell you, in these trucks and in these environments that we drive in, that's virtually impossible. It's not impossible, but it virtually is. You basically have to be driving this thing 55 miles an hour for a couple of hours a day. And at 55 miles an hour, you ain't going to be able to get nowhere, man. When everything is, to me, I feel like when everything is time sensitive and you want things to get there on time, there's no such thing as being able to get the best miles per gallon. You're just not going to be able to do it. So, and then especially on the routes that I was running with MBT, they were time sensitive. I had to get things there in almost a 1 to 2 day turnaround half the time. So there's no way I would have been able to swing 55 miles an hour for a couple hours a day to be able to get a good MPG rating. It just wasn't going to happen. So I think on average at MBT, I averaged about 7.5 to 8. Every now and then I had a good day or two, but most of the time I was averaging about 7.5 or 8 because I was having to gun it. I was just having to go there. I didn't have much of a choice. So yeah, but that's the only way that you were able to get a speed increase at MBT. But otherwise, you were running at 64, and that was about it. Most of us there at MBT were running 64 because we just, we couldn't get the MPG boost, so we were just all running about 64. And then it would run 65 on cruise. That was about it. So, but here at Ceva, these things run at 70, and that was one of the first things that I was so excited to see. Is I put the pedal to the metal so I could see where the truck was once I got on the highway, and I was gonna see where the truck went, and it went all the way up to 70, and I was like, God damn, that's awesome. I was like, great, that's awesome, dude. I'll be able to make great time. I'll be passing up all the 65 mile per hour governors, and I sure do. Now there's still some trucks out there that obviously don't have governors or they're governed at a little bit higher. So every now and then I'll still see people passing me up, but for the most part I pass most trucks up these days now. So it makes these drives that are usually really long and a lot longer going at 64, 65, it actually does make a difference. It makes them a little bit shorter. And if anything, if it's not necessarily shorter, it makes them a little bit more bearable, because you're over there sitting at 64, 65, and you're just watching trucks and cars pass you by all the time. It is so annoying. It was so annoying then. And then when you get into that weird situation, you know, the situation where you have a truck that's going like 63 and you're going 64, you're gonna catch up to them. It's just gonna take a long ass time to catch up to them. And so by the time you do, it takes like, you know, if you ever been in that situation before, if you haven't, it'll take, if the person doesn't slow down on the right and you're trying to pass them up on the left, it's gonna take like 5 minutes for you to pass them up. And if it's a 2-lane road like the one I'm driving on right now, you're gonna make people so pissed off on the left lane that want to go faster than you. But it's like, what choice do you have? You can either slow it down behind them and go 61 behind them. It's like, who wants to do that? Like, I don't want to go slower. I don't want to go slower just so that I can stay behind someone. So typically I'll just try to pass them, try to give them a hint that, hey, you know, like, I can go a little bit faster, but I can only go a little bit faster than you. So slow down like 1 to 2 miles per hour for like 30 seconds, and I'll pass you up, and then you can pick your speed back up to where you were at. But a lot of truck drivers don't get that and don't realize that. They just keep the pedal to the metal no matter what. And this is where radio communication is nice, but not everybody has a CB or has it on or has it on the right channel. So you're not always going to be able to get through to people. So this truck wants to go this way. Well, and that's the thing. He wants to go to the left. I want to go to the right. So he slowed down. He slowed down a lot more than me. So I'm going to go ahead and pass him up. So I'm going to McAllen, like I said. So this is a pretty easy. Run. It's just kind of a long. It's kind of long. And you know, local. If you're talking local, you know, this is a 500-mile round trip for me. So about 250 miles to from San Antonio to. Make sure nobody's coming. Nobody's coming. Right, go. It's about a 250-mile run to McAllen, and then a 250-mile run back. So it's about 500 miles. One of our longer runs with this company. But so that's about it. That's about it with that. You know, a lot of the other runs with this company are to Laredo. We got a couple that run to Del Rio, and I think there's another one that goes to Fort Stockton. I think there's another one that goes to Harlingen. I think that's the longest run that we have is the Harlingen or Bronzeville run. It's a little bit further out than McAllen, but this McAllen run, you know, it takes about 4 hours to get there. Once you're on this highway here, once you're on 281 South, you just stay on 281 South. You got to go through 2 little towns on the way, but they're not that big. They're pretty small. You get through the little small towns within 5 minutes on average, so you're not in there for too long. You can stay on 37 and go all the way, but if you stay on 37, you're gonna veer off to the left at the split. The split's about 30-40 minutes from here. There's a split where you can either keep going down 281 South, or you can split off and go I-37 all the way. The problem with I-37 is that if you go that way, you'll stay on a major highway and you won't have to go through two little towns. But the issue with that route is that it veers you off. East a little bit, so you end up having to go almost all the way to Corpus almost, and then you get on Highway 2 and go west. But the problem with that is that it adds almost a whole entire hour to your drive. So I'm like, I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna go down 281, and you know, you go, like I said, there's only 2 towns in between, so it's 2 times that you gotta slow your speed down a little bit. But even at that, like, it's still not that bad. Like, it's not like a high traffic. They're little towns, so they're not like high traffic areas or anything like that. The lowest speed that they got there is 30 miles for like I said, it's for like 5 minutes, and that's it. You're done. So still, the drive ends up becoming, you end up saving almost 40 minutes to an hour instead of staying on the highway. That's where you gotta, like, sometimes it's best, you know, trucker, like, you use trucker path, they use things like that. It's, you know, it's good. They're good tools, but sometimes they tell you to do things that you're like, huh, why would I go like that when I could just do this? And it is a truck, and it does allow trucks. There's nothing that says that that's not a truck route. So why wouldn't I just do that? Why would I add an hour to my drive just to be able to stay on a major highway? So sometimes you have to be careful about the routes that GPSs give you. You know, double check your routes, double check your highways, and make sure that if there's a little bit of it, there's a shorter route, as long as it's legal, take it. That's the way I see it. As long as it's legal, take it. If it's not illegal, don't take it. But if it's legal, take it. Why not? If there's nothing that says, you know, that you can't drive a truck through there, then drive a truck through there. This is what I'm talking about right here. This is what the beauty of having a truck that goes 70. Hi, horsey. But yeah, this is the drive through McAllen. So I'm going to be on this road for quite some time, for the next couple of hours. And so I'll check back in once we get to McAllen, to the first. We'll check back in. I'll try to see if I can check back in right as I'm getting into FAR, which is basically connected to McAllen, Texas. And so that I can show you, because that's the only part of this drive I don't necessarily like. Everything else, it's pretty much like this for the most part throughout the whole drive. So, you know, there's very little traffic. It's very, very easy. It's very even. It's even terrain. The hills are not very big, so it's very easy. This drive is pretty much just like this almost all the way through, until you get to FAR, you know, where you're going to get off of this road and connect to Highway 2 for a little bit. That area is a clusterfuck of a mess. So I'll see if I can show you all that once we get into that area, and then we'll ride it from there to the shipper. All right, everyone, welcome to FAR, Texas. So this is where the fun begins here, right in between FAR and McAllen, Texas. This is where all this crazy construction is going. And so over here, as you can see that far left lane over there, it's about to close, so it's not going to be open here in just a couple of feet. And what that's going to lead to is that's going to lead to two lanes. So the lane that I'm on over here on the far right, and then the lane that's next to me on the left, are the only two lanes that are going to be open right now. And this is where the cluster begins. Now, I'm a little bit earlier than I was. I'm about an hour earlier than I was yesterday when I got here. So the traffic already looks like it's a little bit different, but we'll find out here in a minute once we make the turn. But here is where you got to choose. If you're on the lane that I'm on, you're going to McAllen. If you're on the lane next to me to the left, you're going to go to Harlingen. There's no other way to get around that. So what you might see here in a minute is a lot of shuffling between the left and the right lane of people that are making last minute decisions as to where they're going. So that's why I'm saying that this thing's kind of a clusterfuck. So you have to play it really, really safe here. See, I want to go to McAllen, so I'm going to stay over here to the right. Anybody that wants to go to McAllen has got to stay over here to the right, otherwise you're not going to McAllen. You're going to end up going to Harlingen. But what you'll see, because they're like working over there on the left there, they're working on expanding the lanes, or they're going to open up some overpasses. See, now you got people going. There's the shuffling. One already jumped from the right to the left. We'll probably have another one here in a minute that'll realize, oh shit, like I need to get in real quick. But right here is about the last point where you can make that decision, because after this it's going to be split by these little plastic little median things. So you see this guy now, okay, he needs to go to Harlingen. Alright, so right here is where the little plastic barriers start, right here, that separate everything. Of course, when in Rome, it might not stop somebody, and they might decide to cross it anyways, because they're like, it's just plastic anyways, who gives a fuck, right? I've seen it. It happens. Or some people knock these over enough that they end up making like an opening in between, and people, anytime time, you give somebody an opening, they're gonna take it. You know, they're gonna take it. Like right here, for instance, this shouldn't even be open right here, what you're looking at here on the left. But so many people have knocked these damn things over that it created an opening. So you might see somebody like shoot across if they feel the opportunity to do so. They will. But really though, these go one of two ways. So if you want to do things in McAllen, you got to go off right here. If not, you're going to end up going the Harlingen route, which, you know, depends on what you want to do and how you want to do it. Right here's another spot where people can go ahead and cross over if they feel like it when they're not supposed to. I saw that yesterday. That happened a few times. Saw somebody cut across. I was like, God damn. I was like, shit, okay. But see, this lane, what this lane's going to do on the left, it's going to take you to the turnaround only. So if you were trying to go straight like me, once you got over here, you're done. Unless you decided, you know what, I don't care about my car, I'm just going to roll to these plastic barriers and get over to the right. It's not as bad as it was yesterday, to be honest. Yesterday was was worse. It was a little bit more traffic, like an hour from now. And it was a little bit of a cluster through this area, and there was like a jam, and everyone was moving slow, and everyone was trying to merge at the last minute. And I'm not going to toot my own horn and say that I'm perfect, because yesterday was my first time doing this. I realized that I had went the wrong way myself, that I was going to go towards Harlingen, but this was way before you meet the median, you know, the split off median. So I gotta make sure there's nobody over here on the left. There it is. It's quite a bit of cars. So I'll see if this truck's gonna let me in. Yeah, this Toyota is gonna let me in, so I'm in. But anyways, so I was able to switch from the left to the right before I even got to the split. So, but I was like, oh shit! I was like, yeah, I didn't realize that it's, you know, left only is going one way and right's the other way. Otherwise, I would have gotten all turned around and whipped around. But even right here, with all this construction going on, you can see people decide to make last-minute decisions in front of a truck, force me to have to change my speed and whatnot because you want to make a last-minute decision in front of a truck. I mean, I get it, he wants to exit right here, but still, it's like it's the stuff you have to worry about. Even I say, just because you do local truck driving or daily truck driving doesn't change the way you drive a truck. It doesn't change anything about the traffic around you and stuff like that. You still got to deal with stuff like this. Doesn't matter whether or not you're local, regional, or RTR. You still got to deal with stuff like this all the time. And in fact, I'd argue that being local, with the way that I am, I deal with this a lot more often now than I used to, because, you know, it's not so much all highway driving. You know, some of it is, you know, inner city and driving and stuff like that. So you have to deal with that from time to time. Right now in the valley over here, this whole highway number 2, for the most part, throughout this whole entire stretch between Lamar and McAllen, is all under construction right now. So it's a little bit of a here at the ship, or about to turn into the shipper here, so stopped right here. Got a couple of cars coming, so I'm gonna let them pass. Cause it's literally gonna be right here. That you see that blue building over there with the blue stripe? That's where I need to go. So I'll let these cars pass. Kind of do this little number here. And this is kind of a tight one. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna widen it out here since there's nobody coming to my left. I'm gonna widen it out. And this is a one in and then one out the other way. So I'm gonna take it a little bit wide so that way I can clear the trailer and whatnot. Make sure nobody's coming to the right of me. And then go ahead and take it all the way here. And with this J cab, I can pretty much curve it as much as I want to make sure I can hit the curb, and that's exactly what happens. So see how easy it is? I know what you're all saying right now. Damn, your windshield's dirty, John. You need to clean that. Yeah, it is. I'll clean it here when I get stopped. I tried cleaning it with the windshield wiper fluid, but those bugs are so gross right now. They're the real like gummy ones. Like, I guess that's probably not the right word, but they got like a lot of freaking crap inside of them, and so it gets real freaking nasty. But it doesn't look like there's anybody in our spot today. Our spot's gonna be over there, where that guy's walking right there. That's where we usually have to park. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop right there in front of the little median there, and then I'm gonna go check in and make sure they want me to go into the same door that I went into yesterday. And as long as we do that, then I will open up the doors and then we will get loaded. So I think right there in 14, yeah, it looks like 14's open. So let me go talk to him real quick. I'm gonna go talk to him real quick. I'm pretty sure they're gonna tell me, yep, go ahead and back up to 14. The 14 right there, that's where we're gonna go ahead and dock. So I'm gonna park it for just a minute. Park it for just a minute, and then I will be right back, and we'll back this thing up. Okay, so I'm gonna pack it up to 14. I already have the doors open, and so we're gonna back up into this dock right here, 14. And I'm going to show y'all the beauty of having a day cab now versus a sleeper. So when I used to have a sleeper, I used to take these angles really like wide because I couldn't really because the turn radius was very low on them. Now it's like shit. I mean, I can turn these things as much as I want now. I'm gonna stop about right here. That should be good enough. I'm gonna make sure nobody's behind me. Come on, give me. And now I'm gonna go all the way right. See how I'm gonna just gotta dip it enough. And then as soon as I watch it kind of curving a little bit, because the turn radius is really high, I can just kind of start taking it back to the left of it. All I gotta do is get around this trailer right here, because that's where the dock is. So as soon as I get around it, then I can just hard turn it. As soon as I get around it, I get a little bit wider on it because I'm getting a little too close to it. A little bit too close, but that's good. Nothing on the other side of me. It's a little hazy today, so my vision's a little unfortunately, it does affect my vision when it's real hazy out here, like it is today. But I'm already around it, so now I just gotta hard turn it to the right. And then I can get around to the dock. I may have to actually widen this out just a little bit to straighten it out with the dock. If there was another truck next to me there, I'd be a little concerned. I'd probably fix it and whatnot. But so this is what I can do. I can just go ahead and do it now, because I'm gonna end up coming up too wide on the other side. So I can kind of widen it out now, since I got all this space over here. And widen it out just a bit. And this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take it high, wide. And this is, like I said, this is the beauty of having a truck like this, is that you can just play with the angles all you want. Make it a little bit tighter here. Don't do it too tight, because I don't want to crash next to this loader freight truck trailer. So I'll just really try hard to get it to go straight, just like this. But just like I said, this is the beauty of having a day cab, is that I can do this. If that's about the angle I want, turn it out. And if I feel like it's getting too close to that trailer, which it's not going to, I can fix it. But that should be good. By the time I get all the way around, it should be kind of where I want it, and then I can fix it from here. So right here, that's what I mean when I say that you have way more of an angle, or you can play way more with the angles you have on the dock now, so we're good. So now, this place wants you to put a wheel chock and wants you to put a wheel chock and disconnect the airline. So I'm gonna do that. Got everything that they want done. So now they're gonna they're gonna unload me, and they're gonna load me up. So, but I also have a little bit of a surprise for y'all. I actually do 2 stops. This route has 2 stops on it. This is the first one. The second one is literally around the corner, around the train tracks on the other side, on one of those buildings over there on that side. So you're gonna get a second back today. So we're gonna get a second back today. So as soon as I'm done here, we'll leave here. We'll go to the next stripper, and I'll show you how I dock at that one. But that's what I'm saying when I'm saying that I love having a day cab right now. The angles you can take angles so tight, and it makes backing so easy. It is not that it wasn't easy for me in a sleeper cab. But in a day cab, oh man, backing this thing up and turning it around and it's just 10 times easier. I love it so much. But yeah, we'll check back in here in just a second at the second shipper once we're done. Okay, so we're done here. I already backed out and closed the doors and everything, so now we're headed out to the other one. My second pickup of the day. And I'll show you that it really is not that far, but you see the other side of here, there's a little exit right here. So with this one, you just have to be careful. You want to take it a little bit wide, because there's only a certain amount of opening that you have, and you can't take it wide once you're over here by the fence. So you either got to do one of 2 things. If you take it too tight here, you can always get out by just moving the truck over to the right. So taking this angle here like that to move everything away from the railing there. Then you can bring it back if you want to. So in this case, I'm going to be going over to the right. There, I know that there's normal employee traffic that comes in and out of here, so I have to be careful to not just shoot out. Make sure that there's no cars coming either way. Okay. And then I'm going to turn right. And let's see. They're coming to the left of me. It's a one-way only. That guy's got a stop sign, so he's going to stop for me. And I can see out the back, guys. Check that out. I can see out the back of the window there, so I can kind of see where my tires are going to end up before they even show up here on the rear view. On the side mirror, I can actually look behind me and see where those where the tires are going to, if they're going to hit something, you know, where they're back into that trailer there, kind of on your blind side. So now your what used to be a blind side isn't necessarily a blind side anymore because of this mirror right here. So that's kind of cool. That's another nice thing about about being in a day cab, that you get this nice little window so you can see behind you. So I'm going to slow down because we're going to turn right here on International Parkway. Turn right. Slow down a bit. There's nobody coming to my left. This is a one-way only street, so go ahead and take it. Once again, like watch someone look behind me, and you can see what I'm looking at. That's cool, man. I like that. Especially in places like Laredo and stuff like that. It's really nice. That's a really nice that's a really nice feature. But there's a lot of tight turns and stuff like that. And it also makes if you ever need to, it makes blindside backing so much more easier. it's so much more easier because you can take a better angle without having to worry about a jackknife anyways. But even just from a like being able to see where the heck you're pointing it to is also like a nice plus. Oh, I had no wonder. I was like, what the hell? I was wondering. I was like, why is the brake so hard? That's because I had accidentally turned on the engine brake. I was like, damn, this thing's braking like intense. I had it on level 3 by accident. I must have, like, my hand must have slipped when I was using the wipers. So this is the place right here. That guy's coming pretty slow, so I'm gonna go ahead and take the turn. He's not really coming that fast. By the time I get into the turn, he'll be good. So there's a Ryder truck there in the spot that I usually park at in 11. So I'm gonna go ahead and park into 12. They typically tell me that I can go into 11 or 12. So I'm gonna put it in 12. Yesterday I checked in, but then they told me, hey, just go ahead and go into the door first. If there's a door, if there's 11 or 12 open, go ahead and go into the door first, and then you know, check in and whatnot. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. So I'll pop this guy, and I'm gonna go open the doors real quick. So I'm gonna go do that here real quick. So we're good. The door's open, and in this situation, once again, because I got a day cab, it's super easy. So what I can do is I really just need to aim for this trailer right here. Let's go ahead and go in. There's nobody coming. There's somebody coming, but let's see where he wants to go. He might want to go over there, so I might let him pass me up. Let's see where he wants to go. He's good. He stops right there. I think you got the picture. So he's gonna go that way. And I wanna kind of scooch next to him a bit, so that you can kind of get the picture as to what I'm trying to do. Yeah, see, I got to push up a little bit because I need this space right here. But I just need to utilize right here. This is about as much as the space that I need right here. I don't really need all of that over there. And I just need to make sure, like I said, like the last time, I just need to get ahead of that trailer just by a bit. About this much is good. And then I can bring it back. That Ryder guy is going in. I could wait until he's done. And it looks like he went and got his paperwork, so he might already be done. So let's see. I don't know if he's already done or what he's doing. May or may not be done yet, so yep, he just turned on his truck. So I'm gonna wait for him because he might be done already. And that's usually where I need to park anyway, so I might just wait for him. Let's wait just a little bit. Let's see what's up.
Shipping, bro.
All the way in the front.
All
the way in the right next to the first trailer, first door.
Alright.
I'll have to edit him out. Oh my god. Sometimes you never know what you can get. Okay, so now he's gonna go behind me. Okay, so there goes the Ryder truck. He's gonna take off, and he's gonna come next to me for some odd, strange reason. So now, what I can actually do now, is go to 11 instead. So I'm gonna go ahead and push it to 11. Now I can actually start doing the plan. So now I can go to 11 instead of going to 12. But see how much room I have, and with all that room that I have and everything, it's so easy. So now I already got the angle, so now I just gotta kind of drop it into the box there. 11's right there. So as soon as I kind of see it, what I usually like to do is, as soon as I like to see it go into the box, or oh shit, am I going? No, I gotta get it. So as soon as I see it going into the, like towards the box, that's when I start curving it. So about right now, there's no trailer or truck on either side, so I can take this kind of high angle like that and kind of float it into the box, more or less. Okay, I got it. If you don't like it, it's probably been in gear too long. Alright, so now take it high left because it's going to curve really, really fast. See how it goes really, really fast. So I have to be careful with the angle. So stretch it out just a bit. Just a little tighter, just a little small adjustment. It's not too bad. Right there is probably good. All the way left. And then I just need to straighten it out. So now I can straighten it out. That I want. And then if I need to, which I probably will, because I think I'm going to come in a little bit too far over here on this side. Yeah, see? I'm going to end up too far over here. So what I can do now, I got all this nice space to work with, so why not just use it? So I'm going to take it a little bit to the right, a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right, and then a tiny bit to the back to the left again. Just a tiny bit, just until I see the angle that I want. Once I see it, then I'm going to stop, which is right there. I'm going to finish it off. I am in no way or shape or form have I ever said or feel like I am perfect at backing. But if you work the angles enough times, you get pretty decent enough to back it up. You get decent enough to be confident in yourself to back these things up in just about any space. That's perfect. That's gonna put it right on the inside of the thing, which should be good enough. I'll go double check to make sure, but as soon as I bump it, we'll see. If I need to move it a little bit more to the left, I will, but I think that should be fine. Let me push it a little bit more, and then I'm gonna go check it to make sure. That it docked, that it's in between the dock where the ramp can go over and they can load up. Okay, so it's good. It's good where it needs to be. It's a little bit over to the right. I could, if I wanted to, I could pull it out and move it just a smidge over to the left. But just looking at it, it's in between. The ramp will be able to go over into the trailer, so they should not have a problem doing that. So I'm just gonna leave it here since it's already like perfectly straight. So I'm just gonna leave it here. But yeah, so these are my two stops that for today. After this stop, I head all the way back to the terminal. So I guess what I'll do is the next time we check back in here, I'll check back in when I'm driving into our terminal to check the trailer in. Not too shabby though, guys. Pretty nice. I love driving a day cab, I'll tell you that. I do love driving a day cab.